Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Spider-Man Brand New Day, the 2026 movie. So I went to the theaters today and I saw the movie. I have a rule when it comes to watching movies in the theater. I try not to go on opening day. But I only did that when it was what movie was that? Scream 7. And I might have done that in the past, but normally I like to wait about 2 weeks and everything because most people, have already seen it and the theater's not packed. Because I hate being around other people in the theater. You always got people with their feet on the seat, which a man behind me in a seat over had his feet on the seat. But it was a little bit far away from me, so I didn't mind. Then there was a little kid, probably 2, 3 years old, something like that. And oh my God, every time he saw Spider-Man on screen, it's Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man, it's Spider-Man. And he was talking gooberish talk. So he was really, really young. But boy, he was excited to see Spider-Man. And then he just kept talking all throughout the movie. I'm like, Lord Jesus, have mercy. And so, for the first time in a movie theater, something interesting happened. After the movie ended, everybody clapped. I'm just looking around like, am I hearing clapping? Am I seeing clapping? I'm all like, that's the first time that's ever happened when I went to the movie theater. Now, yeah, a lot of people do that in other theaters. I mean, normally you see that in a theatrical play or a music concert, but I've never experienced that in the theater. And the reason why they was clapping, because the movie is that good. Finally, finally, this movie hits DVD. Oh boy, I can finally add a Tom Holland solo Spider-Man movie to my DVD collection. Because I do not like those other movies. Those first two movies bugged the snot rockets out of me. I only kind of like the third because of nostalgia bait. But even that movie bugs me just a bit. Not too much. Because I do enjoy that movie a lot. But I do not own it. But I can't wait to own this movie. You see, complaining does work. This movie would have never turned out the way it did if people didn't complain. Because Tom Holland literally said, he's been listening to the fans and he's going to give people what they want, like a street level Spider-Man movie. So thank you, Tom Holland. However, here's the thing. This is the best solo Spider-Man MCU movie. But this is not the best Spider-Man movie. Don't get me wrong. I do love this movie. Like, my God, I love it. I love it so much I might just go back. But I think I'll wait until it's on Disney Plus and then buy it on DVD because I don't want to spend no more money because I'm saving up for toys. It's been a nightmare hunting down those NECA Fortnite Ninja Turtles. I managed to get my hands on two. But then, NECA has finally shown Ben Willis from I Know What You Did Last Summer some love. And then they got, of course, the Hasbro G.I. Joe Lara Croft. I gots to get those. And I need a Spider-Man Brand New Day. I missed out on the one that came out before, and now it's $41. I don't play like that. So I'm waiting for the one where he takes his mask halfway off. Also, I didn't want the other one because of the simple fact they got the blue wrong. But on the one with the half off mask, they got the red wrong. Now I'll sell for that. But I ain't selling for no dark whatever shade of blue that is and everything. But anyway, back to this movie. So yeah. I think this is a really, really, really good movie, and it's like a extremely good MCU Spider-Man movie, but it's not a good Spider-Man movie. I don't know what Tom Holland's idea of street level is, but I don't particularly always see that in this movie because of the simple fact Yeah, he fought a bunch of villains, and especially in the montage. Oh, by the way, I missed the first 10 freaking minutes of the movie. I was late. I was rushing to get there. But the part I got to is when he was arguing with Frank, as they was Frank was driving down the road chasing the tank. So that's why I got to. So I missed everything before. I did not even see Tombstone. Like, man. But back to why I don't think this is a good Spider-Man street level movie. First things first, there are way too many MCU Marvel characters in this movie. And it is crowded. But even though this movie is crowded, it doesn't always feel crowded. Like, you know how some movies just feel stuffed and overpacked? Yeah, there's tons of people here, but because they go by so quickly, it's like, okay, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But like, there's so many MCU people showing up that could have been replaced with a Spider-Man character. They could have taken out Bruce Banner, the Hulk, and instead of him explaining to Spider-Man what's going on, they could have brought in Kurt Connors. Instead of Yelena coming in, which I have no idea why she was even in this movie, but I do enjoy that scene in the pool or the hot tub or where it was. I did enjoy that because she is gorgeous. My God, I can't believe who was that talking about she was overweight and all that. Back in the day when she had more weight to her, ooh, I liked that weight. It was juicy and everything, but there was no point for her character being in this movie, and they could have easily replaced her with somebody else. Um, what is it? What is it? What is it? The hand. Why is the hand even here? Why? Like Daredevil's not even here. Like it would have made more sense if they brought in Mr. Negative, his like gang and everything, and have Spider-Man fight them. Also, Scorpion was in this movie, but he was barely used. And I've been waiting for a long time for a live action Scorpion to appear in a movie. And the fact that this dude has been teased for so many movies in the past and we finally get him and he's barely doing anything, just fighting, that pisses me off. Because I'm a Scorpion fan because of the 90s series and stuff. And they could have easily had him be the main villain. Have either Tombstone or Mr. Negative be like the main boss or whatever and hire him. Why tease him for so many years? He ain't gonna do nothing. Who else? Oh, Frank. I didn't understand why the Punisher was in this movie. I mean, yeah, he does have slight ties to Spider-Man, and of course, there's the animated series when Spider-Man turned into Man Spider, and he had to like help take him down and everything. And so I'm just like, why is he here? It would have made more sense for Daredevil to show up. That's his pal from the comics. But what I didn't know is that Tom Holland and John Bernthal are really close friends and everything. In fact, it was John that helped put together Tom Holland's like audition tape and everything. That blew my mind. I did not know that until like a week ago and everything. So it makes sense why he'll put him in this movie and they had such that bond and chemistry and stuff. And Tom said he wants to repay the favor by appearing in something the Daredevil does on Disney Plus. But I have some reservations about that because Tom wants to cuss and be dark and gritty, and no thank you. Stan Lee had one rule for Spider-Man: no cussing. They got away with it in the third Raimi film one time because the symbiote was taken over. But here, Peter's just constantly cussing, saying the H word over and over. And it's like, why? Clearly, Tommy Boy, you don't understand Spider-Man because you hung out with Stan Lee. So you should know his rule. And the man is dead. May he rest in peace. And he's the co-creator, and you know what? If the co-creator says, I don't want Spider-Man cussing, then no cussing. instead of Bill from like Damage Control and Damage Control themselves, they could have easily had somebody else, maybe Mr. Negative, like I said before. Maybe he kidnapped Jean and uses her to like do what he wants or something like that. And then there's Jean herself. I'm a fan of Sadie Sink. I've only seen her on one thing. Fear Street 19, is that 74, 80, 84, something like that? The second movie where they're at summer camp. And she was just so good in that. And she was such a good Jean Grey. And I am glad she is Jean for the sake that the internet won't go crazy, because they kept that a secret for the longest time, speculating. If it didn't turn out to be Jean, oh boy, people would have rioted and everything. Like, but she did such a good job, you know what I'm saying? But at that same time, it's like this raises a million questions now about mutants and the X-Men, which I will get into a little bit later. But, you know, we get what she was doing. She was desperately trying to get her sister. But then when she found out she was dead, she went all Magneto and everything. And I don't like the idea of her being portrayed like that unless she's Madeline Pryor or the Dark Phoenix. And, you know, so, yeah. Somebody else. The mayor lady. How did she go from being Fist, like campaign manager, to the new mayor herself? So it's like, okay, if you're gonna bring in these people from the Daredevil series, just bring in freaking Daredevil. And I don't know why he's not here. He showed up in I think what was the last Spider-Man movie as Matt Murdock, so why couldn't he appear? Now the actor who plays Fist said that Fist can't appear because of some kind of weird legal reason or something like that. I don't understand that. But one thing I'm very disappointed in is there was no JJ. No, what's his name? John Jonah Jameson. Like, why wasn't he in this movie? Even the actor was disappointed, who normally plays him. And I don't know why they keep steering away from him in all these new Spider-Man projects. Like, he wasn't even in the Amazing Spider-Man. It's almost like they don't want nobody antagonizing Spider-Man and making him look like a criminal or something like that. But that's what happens in the comics and everything. You know, and that's just who he is. It's weird. It's like, that would be like making a Batman movie without James Gordon or like Alfred. Like, you need him in the movie. He serves a vital purpose and everything. And it just really, really bugs me. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I would have like replaced all those characters with actual Spider-Man, like, you know, supporting cast members. And I just really wanted Scorpion to be the main villain. Like, that would have been street level in my opinion and stuff. And you could have even like changed his genetics like they did in the animated series and stuff. And Peter could be all like, holy crap, you know, this isn't like, you know, a Stark villain, but yet this dude is so tough. What I'm gonna do, he's like a maniac and everything. Speaking of Stark, did they have to give Peter an AI? Like, seriously, like when they did that, I'm like, you're trying to make him into Iron Man Jr. again. Get him away from AI and everything. So when I see stuff like that, when I see all these Marvel characters appearing, and yeah, that happens in the comics, but you know how a solo Spider-Man movie is. They have those certain characters, and that's the only ones they can work with. And they don't work with nobody else, even though they tried back in like 20 years ago. But those got into deleted scenes. Anyway, when you bring in all these MCU characters, when you bring in all these Disney Plus MCU characters, and giving him an AI, and not only that, but like his 3D printer, what I think they call a fabricator or something like that, it looked way too high tech. And yeah, I know he's a genius. But let's be real for a second. The MCU Spider-Man never came across to me as like a super genius. Andrew Garfield one is the only one I can literally think of who was just like a genius. Tobey Maguire, I'm sorry, but what he did in Spider-Man 2 when he had to stop the machine, he just ripped the plug out the socket. Nah. No. No. He might be book smart, but that dude don't seem like no mechanical genius. Now, yes, this Spider-Man is a dumpster diver. That guy brought up in Civil War. Okay, fine. You know what I'm saying? But that technology looked too high tech, and he ain't rich. So I don't know how to do like made all that. And it just reminded me of Iron Man Jr. again. I would have preferred to see him use an old-fashioned sewing machine and sew up his clothes or do it by hand. I didn't want to see this machine do it. I didn't want him talking to an AI. I didn't want him asking the AI to do this and do that. I wanted to see him tap away at stuff and do it himself. So, no, I don't think this is a street level solo Spider-Man type movie. It's just another MCU Spider-Man movie, but a heck of a lot better than all the other ones. And speaking of the suit, my God, that suit is amazing. That suit is gorgeous. The only problem I have with it is I don't like the exposed web shooters being on the outside of the gloves and being so freaking big for some reason. Also, there are two web lines that don't connect to nothing near the neckline, and that bugs the crap out of me when they do like a zoom in. But this is one of the all-time better looking Spider-Man suits. I don't know why they gave him the lenses they gave him, because they still have the like the overlayer black part that, you know, makes his eyes look bigger and stuff. But I never saw that happen in the movie. So I don't know why. And I can actually see his eyes through the lens, which is weird. Because of the simple fact, you can never supposed to see his eyes through the lens because of the simple fact the older movies never did. Plus, I have a Spider-Man mask. And they're not reflective lenses, they're just fabric lenses, and you can't see my eyes whatsoever. And somehow I'm able to see through that white mask. I think there are teeny tiny little dots that you just can't see. But my God, that was a good suit. Like, to me, the top three suits are this one, the one from Spider-Man 2, and the one from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. Although I do like the one from the Amazing Spider-Man 1. Because I'm a huge Ben Reilly fan. But I also like the one from Spider-Man 1 as well. And I do like the black suit, but it's the wrong looking black suit. But I do like that black suit with the web lines and stuff. But my top three is from Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, and this one. And so, like, you know what's really interesting about this movie is the simple fact that Sony had, like, no involvement. Because of the simple fact, Tom Holland's contract with Sony, the whole merger between MCU and Sony Spider-Man thing, ended with the last movie. So, you know, he was hoping that they'll get like a new movie, this and that. And so Marvel, Disney stepped up and everything. And they got a brand new director. John Watts is now out. He did Fantastic Four. And I do love Fantastic Four, but I haven't watched it since it came out. I do think it could have been better at some points. But yeah. So Destin Daniel Cretton, he is the one who made this. Now, of course, he did Shang-Chi. And I love Shang-Chi. I own that on DVD. And so he did Wonder Man. I don't like Wonder Man. And I'm not surprised it got canceled, but I am surprised it did get canceled. Let me explain. I'm not surprised it got canceled because of the simple fact it was nothing but Marvel Disney baby humor. And I hate that, and many other people are tired of that. That's why Marvel started going more serious. So why the world would you go a few steps back for over 10 years ago? Anyway, but I was surprised it got canceled because of the simple fact it got renewed. And now he wants to make a Wonder Man movie because he feels horrible that show got canceled. Maybe you should have made an action show drama. Like, I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying. But yeah, he's a really good director and stuff, in my opinion. And he has made the best MCU Spider-Man movie. I didn't even know John Watts directed those other movies because of the simple fact every other Spider-Man movie, I know who directed those, but I never bothered to look up who made those other ones because I just don't like them and stuff. And I can't wait for him to make another MCU project, as long as it's not silly. And you know, one thing I like about him is that he's Asian and he incorporates tons of Asian characters in this movie as background characters, but background characters that actually have something to do and something to say. I love that. Like, he's looking out for his people. It's too bad the dude from the Conjuring movies and the Saw movies who's Asian don't do the same. You would never find an Asian person in those movies and stuff. And like, but I'm surprised he didn't add Amadeus Cho in the movie. I would have thought for sure Bruce Banner having a bunch of students and everything. I would have thought for sure that dude would have appeared. But no, maybe they didn't want to add him because they are like, hey, look, we gotta do a soft reboot after those Avenger movies. So no point. Now, one thing that's interesting is that I forget her name, the character, but Rosanna Dawson, who plays the night nurse from the Netflix Marvel series, she had a role, but it got cut. I think this was stupid because when Spider-Man gets shot and he has to go to the hospital, who better to help him than a night nurse and everything? Frank could literally taken him to a night nurse and nobody would have to find out his secret identity and stuff and have to hover around like the hospital. And so I was really disappointed she got cut. They could have cut Yelena, but then that would have like I like that scene too much. But she had no business being in this movie. But I love the fact that Tom Holland did listen to the fans and he gave us way better web slinging. He's not bouncing around like a little rabbit and everything. Like, the dude is literally giving us web slinging and some good web slinging at that. We got like a better look at the spider sense now that I'm gonna assume he's turning into man spider, but it's the MCU. You truly never know what they're gonna do. I would like to see him crawl around on walls a bit more, you know what I'm saying? I love the fact that he was transforming and it was freaking him out. And he made a reference to like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I love the fact that his humor sounds more authentic and everything. It doesn't seem like stupid Disney baby humor now. Like, even when they have those like goofy scenes, it feels more realistic. Like when he fell through the window like half naked and he's in the washer room and then he has to walk out with some girl clothes. Like, that felt so natural. That felt like something you would see Spider-Man do, as opposed to what they've done in the past with this character and everything. I love the emotional weight in this movie. You could, like, honest to God, when MJ told him, "I don't remember you," and I don't love you and everything. I felt that through the screen. I'm like, oh man, and they're married in real life. That had to hurt saying and everything. Like I felt that, you know what I'm saying? And that's what his character needs. Yes, Spider-Man is a happy person and good stuff does happen to him, but a lot of bad stuff happens to him too. And the thing is that this version of Spider-Man was never allowed to feel turmoil and everything. He was never allowed to feel the weight of the world. He was never allowed to feel true loss because somebody in the MCU was always there to bail him out. He never grew into a man. In my opinion, he was still that teenage boy just pretending to be a Spider-Man. But now he is Spider-Man and everything, and I love that. However, even though they gave us that good emotional weight, they took it all away towards the end. And now it makes Doctor Strange's spell just seem redundant now, which I'll get into a little bit later. I still think this is the best version of the Punisher we've ever had in live action. Although I did like the way the Thomas dude looked with the hair and his shirt. I don't like the Punisher outfit in this movie. I prefer the one from the Disney Plus shows or the Netflix show. But John Berthal eats this role up and he's so good at it and stuff. Like he just feels like the Punisher. The dude feels like a jerk in real life. But if you ever seen him in interviews, you know he's a good person. Until he had that one interview with Shia LaBeouf, and that was just kind of odd and everything. But he is a great Punisher. My only problem with this version of the Punisher, I don't like how he was comedic. I just feel like the Punisher should never be comedic. The only time his comedy worked is when he's being a smart mouth. I like that. And that's how they should always write the Punisher if he's going to do comedy. But other comedy stuff, I did not like that. Him being upset that he shot Spider-Man and he almost died and how he waited for him in the hospital. I felt like that was only written because the two actors are such great friends in real life, but like I never want to see the Punisher do that again. Maybe to a complete stranger, you know, like a young person that reminds him of his kid, maybe that. Or his wife, maybe that, but not like another hero, you know? But the one thing I just don't like is when he does those gorilla like grunts. Like when he had Spider-Man mask on, he was doing the gorilla grunts. I don't like that. I just don't like that. Damage control was really cool, and so was the actor who played like Bill and everything. Cause I know damage control are bad people, but I just didn't get that in the movie because I kind of forgot who they were. And I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, like this is cool. He's working, helping them along and stuff like that. But then, of course, we find out he is the real, true main villain of the movie, which I wish it was Mr. Negative. I really enjoyed MJ in this and her performance, Zendaya. You know, when it comes to Zendaya, I only know her from the Spider-Man movies. I've never seen her on Disney Channel or Euphoria. The Disney Channel shows that she was on, like that was a time that I had just gotten older. I was out of Disney Channel. The only Disney channels I watch would have to be like a revival or something I watched in the past, or like a spinoff or something I watched in the past. So I never knew her acting caliber and everything. And she's a really good actress and stuff. She felt so natural. But then again, she's playing alongside her true love in real life. So of course they have natural chemistry. Now I will admit, in Spider-Man Homecoming, I did not like MJ whatsoever. They just had her as this weird emo girl who draws like, I think she used to draw like dead stuff or something like that back in the day. That just got on my nerves, man. This is the first time that I was never annoyed with Ned. I've never liked the character Ned. I don't like how he's based off of Miles Morales' best friend. I always hated the comedic stuff they gave this character. I'm pissed that he was in the Infinity movie. And I'm just like, couldn't y'all just put Zendaya instead? Like, I've never liked this character, but he was less annoying and he was barely in the movie and stuff. And I feel like it's a missed opportunity now not to turn him into the hobgoblin and stuff. Because of the simple fact, with him not remembering Peter and having Peter be there to help, just them goof around, be good friends and stuff like that. Why not do some alternate like reality type stuff and have him go down like a dark path and become like the hobgoblin? He's been tracking Spider-Man. Oh, he wants to thank him. Well, why don't you thank him with like a pumpkin bomb? You know what I'm saying? I was so disappointed we didn't get to see Spider-Man turn into the Man Spider. This is something I've been wanting to see since the Amazing Spider-Man. I literally said in my mind as I was in the theater for the Amazing Spider-Man 1 that they need to do something big and bold that's different from that of like Sam Raimi movies. I thought to myself, hey, since the lizard like mutating himself, what if Spider-Man's all like, you know what, this dude's too tough. I need a leg up. Let me use this mutation. I'm already mutated. And it turns him into the Man Spider. I've been wanting to see that for so long, and they robbed us of that. And honestly, still, nobody truly knows what he's going to transform into. Man Spider. For all we know, it could be like Spider Carnage and everything. It could be the black suit Spider-Man because of the simple fact the symbiote is on Peter's Earth because of what Brock left doing that whole multiverse shenanigans that the MCU has fumbled big time. And like, if they don't go the Black Spider-Man route, hey, Carnage, that could increase his abilities, you know what I'm saying? Or they can just go the Man Spider route, because we really don't know. Kevin Feige likes to change stuff up. And plus Tom Holland, being the blabbermouth that he is, he has literally, I think he said something, we might see the black suit Spider-Man at some point down the line. So, you never know. I had a feeling this movie was going to do well at the box office. It's been a while since we had a last Spider-Man movie. That old trilogy has ended and people want to see, is this Spider-Man gonna be Spider-Man or Iron Boy Jr. or Iron Man Jr. or whatever? But my God, I didn't think it was gonna make $932 million in just one whole week. That is insane. That movie is reaching a billion with a B and everything. And I'm just like, respect, and everything. So now I'm finna go through like the movies, but then I'm also gonna talk about some of the things I did not like about the movie that's kind of confusing, and there are some slight plot holes and stuff. Crying already. The racists are gonna be bigots, even to the Spider-Man movie. 8%. 8% of white people are destroying their own race with racism. And that's why there's only 8% of y'all left in the world. So one thing I noticed about this movie is that there were certain scenes that felt so much like the Insomniac games and stuff. Him like, interacting with this cop, talking on the headpiece to the cop, certain web scenes and everything. this big like organization he has to fight and stuff. And so Tom Holland literally did say they were going to take inspiration from that. So Tom really truly wanted this to be like a spectacular movie and everything, to where he did his like homework on stuff. And thank God for that, man, because that was pretty cool and everything. Okay, let's see if I can run through this real fast. I'm trying my best not to make videos that's over an hour or two. I don't know what's with me. I just like to talk. But here we go. So, movie, I missed the first 10 minutes. I think it's like a montage of him fighting a bunch of villains and stuff. But like, the dude is sad. He is lonely. 4 years has passed and he's been all alone. His best friend and his girlfriend don't remember who he is, and he don't want to put their lives in danger because he saw what happened in the last movie. But he's been a little cyber stalker and everything, and watching them having such a good time on like the internet. Now, I did see this in the trailer, so that part, yeah, the emotional weight really did hit. I love that and everything. But then the movie kicks into high gear because Frank is chasing a tank. And so, like, a tank with Mr. Negative logo on it, by the way. Like, why tease us? Like, just give us that. And I don't know if you really will give us that, because look what they done with the Scorpion. Look what they done with every other Spider-Man villain who basically had a cameo in Homecoming and in No Way Home. Anyway, whatever the second movie was called, I forget. But anyway, so like there's some banter between him and that of the Punisher and stuff while he's trying to stop this tank. And as he stops it, it's the old woman inside. And she has no memory of what the heck has happened. Now we know this is the mystery character that's can transfer her consciousness from one person to like another. And so Spider-Man is working with this detective woman. What's her name? She's from the comics and stuff. Is it the Wolf or something like that? I don't know, but he's working with her, and I'm okay with this because of the simple fact, like, you gotta set this dude apart from all the other live action Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? So having him work with like, a police officer and everything, that's totally fine in my opinion. Plus, yeah, the wolf and everything. No, the wolf, yeah, something like that. It reminds me of the Insomniac games, And so, like, he's now trying to figure out who is this mysterious person popping around this and that, while all still feeling sorry for himself with the whole MJ and Ned thing as he's like crashing the party and, and stuff like that. And he sees MJ with like another guy, which really upsets him. And so at some point in time in the movie, he starts to realize his body's going through a weird transformation. His web shooters are popping off him because he has organic webbing. His spider sense is no longer the hair sticking up, but now it's kind of like this alarm in like his head with its distortedness. I love that. I wish it could look like the 90s series, but hey, I'll sell for that. His strength is increased and his eyes are turning black. This is why I say don't necessarily think it might be Man Spider and everything, because Tom Hardy's Venom had black eyes at one point. And so, like, he wakes up and he's in a web cocoon, naked and everything. He falls down. He goes back to his place. There's webbing everywhere. He doesn't know what's going on. And his AI is starting to scan his body. But he needs another opinion. He goes and talks to Bruce Banner, who has an inhibitor on. And so, when did Bruce Banner have this? Isn't he supposed to be Professor Hulk? Isn't he supposed to have control of his emotions now? what the heck have I missed? I know I didn't watch everything in She-Hulk. I kind of like just skipped around. But what the heck has happened to him and everything? Um, and so the mystery person who's doing the mind control, he goes up against her. I love this whole body swap thing so much better than like the Marvels, when they were swapping powers and everything. Like I really loved it. You didn't know who she was and everything. And all this stuff, like, taunting Peter, trying to get in his mind. But I don't understand why she couldn't get in his mind. Maybe because his mutation. I don't know. But it just kind of makes him feel like a chosen one. And I don't like that with Spider-Man. And so it's basically just like him and Jean constantly going at it back and forth and everything. Like she desperately wants something at damage control. And she's willing to hurt anybody to get to it. But what I don't understand is why was it so difficult for her to infiltrate damage control, body swapping and stuff? Because think about it. She went through all, like, what alerted everybody was her blowing stuff up and running around with a tank and all this other dumb crap. But she knows the best way because she's tired of Spider-Man. So the best way for her to get him off her case is to go after somebody he loves. And so she knows that he likes MJ and everything. So she starts to pursue her. Now there is a scene very similar to Wonder Woman where somebody has control of somebody else's body and they kiss them. And it's an awkward scene where she's all like, you can have your way with her and stuff like that. Now, the scene where she's pretending to be MJ and pretending to remember, that got me. I'm like, it can't be that easy. I'm like, I bet this is a trick. And it was a trick. But the fact that she tells Peter you can have your way with her and stuff like that, that was messed up. And it doesn't seem like this version of Jean Grey would do something like that. But I believe she just wanted to get Peter out her hair. So if he was to start making out with MJ and then she leaves MJ's body, MJ is going to freak out and act hysterical, call the police and this and that. Then Spider-Man's going to be a wanted man. So that would have got him out her hair and stuff. And so he literally takes MJ to like the Punisher's place, which why is he living there now all of a sudden? And how does he know where Punisher lived? Maybe it's explained those first 10 minutes, but I missed it. But Peter wrote MJ a note. And my God, I knew at some point she was going to find it. But like she goes with him, she's staying there. She doesn't understand why this woman is after her. And, she's starting to bond with Spider-Man, this and that. And then when he leaves and comes back, he realizes she read that note. Now, Jean literally tells Spider-Man, I went all up inside her mind and there ain't no trace of you. So that spell worked and everything, which really hurts his feelings. But nothing hurt more than MJ freaking out over the note and being all like, look, I don't love you and everything. Only to make matters worse, talking about, can you give me a ride home? But, so like back when he's with damage control, he's trying to figure out how he's going to keep his powers under check. He made an inhibitor by himself. It did not work. But now with like the help of Banner and that of MJ and the equipment of like the Punisher, he's able to make a better one. And now he made a universal one. A little too quickly in my opinion, but hey, it's only like 2 hours and a couple of minutes, But he wants to use it on Jean, but can't because Jean has taken over the Hulk's mind. But his mind is too much for her because this version of Jean Grey isn't Omega level yet. And so he breaks out her mind control and turns back into the glorious Savage Hulk and everything, which I have been waiting for many, many years. I am tired of Professor Hulk. Okay, I gotta speed this up because I don't want this to be an hour. So in a way, he fights the Hulk and then he's able to get the Hulk to snap out of it. But how? And I'll get into that a little bit later. So he uses the inhibitor on the Hulk, but he also wants to use it on Jean. Jean is very close to getting what she wants. She's at damage control and everything, and she's busting her way through. And so with the help of the Punisher and stuff, because she took over his mind. And so Spider-Man is able to put the inhibitor on her. She's get taken out with like a dart. No, wait. She gets taken out with the tranquilizer dart, but then he puts the inhibitor on her, and then she says the name like Sarah. And when he asks, like, Bill, what is that and everything, and what is VMAX, he has no idea. After hanging out with like MJ and like Ned, and like MJ tells him that, hey, I don't remember nothing when she took over my mind, he realizes that Bill was lying. So he heads back there to rescue Jean. Jean finds out what VMAX is, and we find out that Bill has been holding her sister, who is also a telepath, and her sister literally sacrificed herself so Jean wouldn't be taken, but then she realizes that the last thing her sister saw was the room they kept her captive in. Her Omega level mutant powers have kicked in, and she goes berserk and hit the entire city with some kind of like mind pulse or something like that, where everybody's like frozen. And she plans on killing everybody Magneto style. And only for like Spider-Man to try to talk her down. But the Hand is there. And they're working for damage control for some bizarre, odd reason. And so he has to fight all them. Realizing he can't take them on by himself, he takes off his inhibitor and he goes berserk on them. And it's a glorious fight scene. And so, like, the Punisher is all like, look, there's only one way to take her out. I'm going to snipe her. And so he starts to set up. And after like he allows Jean to go in his mind, she realizes something. He has lost somebody as well. He lost his Aunt May. And it's a very touching, very lovely scene where Jean is pretending to be Peter and talking to Aunt May, and then he literally walks over and be all like, look, I'm sorry about your sister. She's sorry about the aunt. And talking about how she has nobody. And he's like, yo, you got me as a friend and everything. Only for his Spidey sense to kick in. And he sees that bullet. And he does what a hero does best. He sacrifices himself by getting her out the way and taking the bullet. This causes the Punisher to break down. And he rushes Peter to a hospital. The whole town swarms the hospital and everything. And like, he makes a full recovery, but he can't just walk out because people might think that's Spider-Man. So the Punisher puts on the mask in the window and pretend to be Spider-Man, but who's really going to think that's Spider-Man? Or he could have just webbed his way on out of there. Anyways, so Jean leaves. He's, friends now with Ned and that of like MJ. And somehow Ned remembers who he is. Okay, so things I did not like in this movie. Who the heck built the Scorpion suit? Now, I did miss the first 10 minutes. Maybe it's explained, but I don't think it is because I can't find no answer on the internet. So a little explanation would be very helpful and everything. Also, he needs a mask. Yeah, the dude looks cool without the mask, but he needs a mask and he needs it to be more green. And I've noticed something about Marvel suits lately because of the Doomsday trailer. If a hero or villain is in the movie only for a short while, they make the suits very cheap now. Basically, the upper part will look cool, but the bottom part doesn't. Cyclops' upper part is awesome, but the lower part is just cargo pants and everything. And with the Scorpion, he's wearing fabric, like a fabric suit with armored plating on and everything. And because it's so dark, you can't really see the fabric, but I can see it crunch around. How in the world did the Hulk remember who Spider-Man is? The Hulk has never, ever met Spider-Man on screen when you stop and think about it. Now, here's the thing, right? During the events of Civil War, the Hulk was off-world. Then, during the Infinity Saga movie, Spider-Man was off-world while the Hulk was on planet Earth. So Peter and Spider-Man never met the Savage Hulk and never met that Professor Hulk and never met that Bruce Banner. Now they both were at the funeral, but they didn't have no scenes together. Now most likely they interacted off screen, but we never saw that. So, in my opinion, if we don't see it on screen, it never happened. So he's all like, "It's me, Peter," and he's all like, "Peter," and then he just let himself fall and drop because he didn't want to hurt him. But he's never met the man. Now, yes, Bruce did meet Peter at the college, but Peter lied and said his name was Ned Leeds. This is a huge flaw in the movie because Bruce and the Hulk and Savage Hulk never ever met Spider-Man or Peter. And I know what some people are going to say. Well, Professor Hulk and Bruce, they knew Spider-Man and Peter, but and their minds got erased. But Savage Hulk has been lying dormant, so maybe he remembered. But you gotta think about it like this: Savage Hulk left planet Earth after the second Avenger movie. Spider-Man didn't appear until Civil War. So once again, when did Savage Hulk meet that Spider-Man Peter? Because he never did. This is a huge, huge problem that I can't believe slipped through the cracks and everything. Where in the heck have the mutants been this entire time? I'm pretty sure the X-Men don't exist in this reality, but mutants apparently do. Kamala Khan was retconned to be a mutant and the first one to appear in the MCU. Now we know Jean is one, and she is here, even though she's not stated as being a mutant. Oh, come on, she is. So the question is, during the past 10, 15 years or whatever, or 20, I don't know how long it's been, where have all the mutants been when Earth was constantly attacked? Not only that, but like this movie sets up that like Damage Control went after her and her sister for people they are different from them and people they want to use and control and who they find dangerous. But think about it. After the first Avenger movie, everybody was loving people with superpowers. When did this all change? That didn't change until Secret Invasion. That was many years later. So where the heck have the X-Men been? There's no prejudice towards them because people was loving folks with superpowers. But now with every new entry in the MCU, every time somebody gets a superpower, people are scared of them all of a sudden, even back in like the 80s and the 60s. What the heck has changed the inconsistency of the MCU? Not to mention, the mutants should have been from a parallel dimension, like the Fantastic Four. What was the point in setting up the multiverse if they wasn't going to use that? I don't understand. They have effed up this whole multiverse saga so bad the moment they created Ralph Boner and everything. And how are they going to be mutants but Scarlet Witch can't? Like, you know what I'm saying? Not only that, but it's kind of like, okay, Sadie Sink has been confirmed she's going to be reappearing in the MCU. Kevin Feige plans on putting her in more installments, and of course the X-Men are a-coming. And judging by the casting list, like, they're younger, but except for Emma Frost, who's an adult woman, so I don't get that. But, like, Jean was willing to kill everybody in the city because she lost her sister. And I'm just kind of like, is that really how you want to portray her and portray, like, mutants and stuff? Like, that's just a bad look all around. And I do love that touching moment when Spider-Man was able to calm her down with just words and not his fist. That's something I've been wanting to see in superhero movies and properties for the longest time. And I forgot Jean had a sister, man. Come on, like a sister. I'm like, wait a minute. I kind of do remember seeing somebody in the animated series. I know she has parents, but I could have sworn I saw a sister and everything. Now, her sister is a normal human in the comics. Now that the whole inhibitor thing is like established now, because when did the Hulk ever really start using it? And why is his version so much bigger than Peter's if the tiny one could work on him just all the same? It kind of makes Bruce Banner not look like a genius. But whatchamacallem, you can tell that's going to be utilized for like the X-Men later on down the road, and that could literally be used for any supervillain now. So I don't know if that was like the best route to go. Where did Peter get all this money from? Seriously, like, he's not rich, and he can't have a bank account because nobody remembers who he is. He technically shouldn't even have like a driver's license or social security because nobody remembers who he is. This whole mind wipe spell thing really should have been explained a heck of a lot better. The whole thing with Ned at the end and the handshake, like, no, how did he remember who Peter is just by a handshake, but like MJ can't even remember? Now I know she can't remember with the kiss because she don't even remember doing that. But even when he starts telling her stuff, she don't remember nothing. But it's like a handshake. Is it muscle memory or something like that? But remember, he does have sorcery powers from the last movie, which I don't know why they did that. But it's just kind of like, don't leave us like up in the air speculating, because we're going to speculate and speculate and speculate as fans. And then when we do get the answer, if we get the answer, and if it's not the answer we want, we gonna get pissed. You know, what they did in the last movie, making him get rid of his best friend and girlfriend, that was huge. 4 years had passed, even though we don't get to see it, and he's still feeling the effects of it. And then the gut punch was literally when MJ was all like, I don't love you. That should have been it. It should have been done, and he should have moved on to different love interests. But now, her and Ned wants to start being friends with him. And it's like that defeats the whole purpose of what the last movie did with the spell and everything. It just completely, like, they don't have their memories fully back, but it's like, it undoes the weight of it all. You know what I'm saying? Now, there is the post-credit scene where Ned's little tracker device, Spidey tracking device, shows Spider-Man in outer space. I can only think of Secret Wars, but here's the thing. When did his technology get upgraded? In order for the tracker to work, it's not DNA. It's when people see a sighting of him. So who in outer space saw him and decided to relay it to where Ned can pick it up on the tracker? And since when can it reach all the way in outer space? I hate how Spider-Man is willing to hack the security cameras on the street just to find that a scorpion. It's like, seriously, even the Dark Knight like had a moral reason as to why that was wrong, and it was brought up. But here Spider-Man's just like, oh yeah, I'll do it, whatever. And we never see him actually do it. And it's just kind of like, how can he be okay with that, you know? So does this movie have flaws? Oh, you betcha. But is this movie good? Oh, you betcha. And it does suck it has these flaws and everything. I think they was really going for something big and something wild to where they all kind of like, crap, we forgot about continuity and everything. But all in all, This is the Spider-Man movie we've needed for however many years it's been since like the first one. And it's been, I think, 10 years, I think. Well, didn't Homecoming come out in 2016 or something like that? So yeah, this is the movie, the Spider-Man movie we've needed so badly in the MCU. I hope they only get better from here on. I hope they give us more of his actual villains, not the Hand, not the Hulk, not Jean Grey, or some government conspiracy type thing. Just like his own actual rogues gallery. Because he has the second best rogues gallery in comic book next to Batman. Superman comes in third. And after that, nobody else has one. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.